Now, speaking of more fraudsters, this is also quite amazing. We're going to go from scumbags to fraudsters. There is a certain person on the Twitterverse that are pathological liars, the dumbest of the dumb, who also, I'll reach out to the Krasensteins. Maybe they'll come on. But then people are going to say, why are you giving these, what do they call them? Grifter, clickbait artists airtime. These people are idiots. These are the same two brothers who came out and said 86-47 afterwards and had a good laugh about it. Liars, pathological through and through. So when I see a tweet from them, I know that they're liars. And then I have to go say, not if they're lying, but just determine the degree to which and about what they are lying. Brian Krasenstein. I think these two might be the only two on the internet that I'm taller than. Writes on Twitter, breaking, the Trump administration has just referred Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook to the DOJ for alleged mortgage fraud, while Trump just publicly demanded her resignation. It's an amazing thing. Everyone's going to say like, oh, Trump's new thing is mortgage fraud. If they stopped doing fraud, thinking they would get away with it, it probably wouldn't be so bloody easy to find. Leticia James, dead to rights. Adam Schiff, dead to rights. You don't get to claim two different properties as your primary residence. You don't get to claim as primary residence a property that's not in the state that you represent as the resident of that state. Dead to rights, black on white, you lied. And now you're going to say, oh, it was my power of attorney. He did it. I didn't know what was on that. I'm sorry. I was very busy. I made a mistake. All right, jail. That's what you wanted to do. Bankruptcy, jail. Those are the rules. I didn't make them. You made them. We're just going to apply them to you now. Cook was among the Fed governors who voted last month to hold interest rates steady. Remember, Jerome Powell doesn't set rates alone. Decisions come from the entire Fed board, including Cook. Trump is trying to seize control of the Federal Reserve, a step that could send shockwaves through the markets. Oh my goodness. What does it say here? Cook must resign now. Trump ally calls on Bondi probe. So that's Krasenstein's tweet. I mean, you dig for all of 5 minutes and you find the truth if you know where to look and what you're looking for. These are the allegations. They're just allegations. I'm sure that they just bring these letters without having seen the actual black on white lies on paper. Viva Fry at the Viva Fry, go follow me on Twitter, says, it's almost like they are guilty of everything they accused Trump of. Free piece of advice, retardo Montalban Krasenstein. One cannot have two primary residences. Furthermore, one cannot list a primary residence as a rental property. Maybe there's some like realm of the universe where you go, yeah, I'm only renting out a room. I'm only renting out half of the, then you're not renting out the property. She, like Leticia James and Adam Schiff, is a fraudster. She should resign and then quietly go to jail after a fair trial, of course. This is the document. Coming from, who's it coming from? This is going to Pamela Bondi. Coming from, I forget the guy's name, and I don't think I have the signature page on this. The U.S. Federal Housing. When you want to talk about fraud that's not victimless, when you're defrauding government banks out of preferential interest rates, you are in fact defrauding the people. When a private, even if Trump had done what they said he did, it would be between him and the bank because the bank is not lending those money or operating on public funds. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, whatever it is here, is different. By lying to them to get them to give you a less than interest rate that one would have otherwise been, you're defrauding the people out of what would have been money going to the people. So this is a criminal referral for Lisa D. Cook. Dear Pamela Bondi, Special Attorney Martin. I think Martin is the one doing all of the work right now, but whatever. Pursuant to my authority as Director of the U.S. Federal Housing, I am referring this matter below. As a regulator of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the federal home loan banks, we take very seriously allegations of mortgage fraud, bank fraud, wire fraud, falsifying documents, and other criminal activity. Good. Such misconduct jeopardizes the safety and soundness of the FHFA's regulated entities. In the course of us exercising U.S. Federal Housing Authority, yada, 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 the U.S. Federal Housing has identified matters that are appropriate for referral to the U.S. Department of Justice for consideration of criminal prosecution. According to mortgage documents obtained by U.S. Federal Housing, it appears an individual, Miss Lisa Donnell Cook, has falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms, potentially committing mortgage fraud under the criminal statute. Just hope everybody understands the difference here. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, these are public, these are government-run institutions. So if you don't pay them 5%, you only pay them 3.5% because you lied on your documents, you're defrauding the people. If I go to TD Bank and I say whatever to get me a more preferential interest rate on my mortgage, I'm not defrauding any public people. I might be defrauding the bank and they might have a claim, but if they go and lend me the thing without like verifying the property, that might be on them as well. There's the fundamental difference in the institutions. These were two private actors in Trump's case, and this is a public actor in the Lisa Cook case, or at least as per the allegations right now. The alleged criminal behavior has included falsifying residence statuses for an Ann Arbor, Michigan-based residence and an Atlanta, Georgia-based property in order to potentially secure lower interest rates and more favorable loans. On June 18, 2021, Ms. Cook acquired a loan for the property at whatever Avenue, Ann Arbor, and entered into a 15-year mortgage with the University of Michigan Credit for $203,000. According to the mortgage agreement entered into with the University of Michigan Credit Union, Ms. Cook represented to, quote, use the property as borrower's principal residence within 60 days after the execution of this security instrument, and shall continue to occupy the property as borrower's principal residence for at least 1 year after the date of occupancy. Maybe she did it. Maybe she did it, and all of this is unfair. Yet, on July 2, 2021, 2 weeks later, Ms. Cook purchased a condominium in Atlanta, quote, above the Four Seasons building, yada, 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 entered into a 30-year mortgage for $540,000. In the mortgage agreement, Ms. Cook affirmed that this property would serve as her primary residence within 60 days of execution and would serve as her primary residence for a full year. So it is mathematically, logically, temporally impossible to use both of these properties as a primary residence for at least 1 year, given the time frame within which she signed both of those documents and warranted that both of them would be used as her primary residence. Additionally, while Ms. Cook affirmed that the property would serve as her primary residence, online records indicate that Unit 3550 was listed for rent in September 2022. So she lies, gets a more favorable mortgage rate, interest rate, then tries to make a little bit of money off of it. Can you imagine? I mean, it's not to poo-poo whatever money they could make. Money is money. Can you imagine how cheap these criminal whores are? So the interest rate, what is she going to get? 3.5% instead of 5%. Maybe she'll get 4% instead. I don't know what the rates are here. And then she wants to make a little money off of it to get like rent money. You're selling your soul for $15,000-$20,000 a year. Rental properties typically require the owner to enter an investment rental property mortgage as opposed to a primary residence mortgage. While the property was listed, why? Because people are more inclined to walk away from rental properties if shit goes south. You don't walk away from your home if you can't make mortgage payments, but you sure as hell would walk away from a condo that you're renting out if you can't make the payments. If the markets crash and the property's not worth the mortgage anymore, if you don't live in it, you're going to walk away from it because you don't even have to live in it to walk away from it in the first place. Also, there's the risk issue in terms of having a rental property, whatever. Set that aside. While the property was listed for rent in 2022, a review of Ms. Cook's federal government financial disclosures for the calendar 2022-2023 indicate that she has not disclosed any rental income tied to this address. Interesting. I wonder if she did that old thing, always in cash, and took a little cash for the rental property so that she wouldn't have to declare it. Criminals. God-forsaken, petty criminals who then prosecute to the fullest extent of the law their political adversaries through machinations, manufactured political crises. That's by the way, that's the governor of the Federal Reserve. Just so you also appreciate that. We are being governed by criminals. Let me see, who was it? It was the Escape. She's one of the governors of the feds. Oh no, but it's not criminal. You know, she's not a liar. And the only reason they're going after her now is because it's political retribution for not lowering the interest rates. Governed by criminals who have gotten away with it for so long, they don't even see the problem in what they're doing. So Lisa Cook, enjoy your day if you ever face charges. You know, of course, it's only allegations. Maybe there's a good explanation for all of this. Maybe they made it. Maybe there's another Lisa Cook, and this is just not her house. It's possible. We'll see. Everyone's entitled to a fair trial. I don't pull the Nancy Pelosi. You'll prove your innocence at trial. I believe you're guilty, and you'll have your day to defend to the extent that Pam Bondi actually does her job and brings charges. But it looks like Ed Martin is there, and Ed Martin is going to bring the charge. It looks like it. We'll see. Hopefully I'm not wrong on that prediction. King of Biltong in the house says, need more protein for your diet in your diet. Try some healthy, high-protein Biltong packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. Get some now at BiltongUSA.com. Use code VIVA for 10% off. And we've got Super Buff Shaft, which I love the name of. Says Newsmax now has to pay $67 million to Dominion Another victim of Joe Altman's BS call with Antifa and Eric Comer, he could not prove in 2 court cases. I told you guys, CIA grifter expose him. Or he might just have lost a lawsuit. It doesn't need, you don't need to go from losing a lawsuit or maybe having said things you can't prove to being a CIA grifter. But I haven't heard that news. I hear a kid coming in who's making noise. I'll have a look at that afterwards. Thank you very much for the Crumble Rant.